What's up everyone and welcome to the club. In today's video we're creating a sketch illustration of a yellow lab. For today's lesson we'll need some plain white paper and a pencil. I'll start today's sketch with this 0.7mm mechanical pencil with a 2B graphite stick. Now if you want more details on our art supplies I'll leave the links in the description below. Now I want to begin today's lesson by breaking down the basic shape of our drawing before we get into the details. So let's start by adding a guideline coming down the center of our page. We're going to start at the very top of the middle. Just going to lightly work our way down towards the bottom using these short lines. Let's move back to the center and draw another line going across from left to right. Now we're going to be using these two lines to help us create a circle in the center of our page. So from the center point, let's move up towards the top of our circle. I'm just going to mark this off, right about there. Now let's measure this distance from the center down towards the bottom and do the same thing. Let's repeat that across this horizontal line. So measuring the distance from the center over towards the left and then over towards the right. Now we're going to connect the center point of each mark with a curve to create our circle. So we'll start with the top left. And the circle doesn't have to be perfect because we're using this as a guide. And we'll eventually be erasing most of this out. Just go back and just smooth this out as best we can. Let's go out to the side of our circle and add another line coming down towards the bottom. Let's go back and add another line going across the bottom of our circle, going out towards the left and right side. And we're going to split the side of our circle in half. So from the left side to the center, let's find the center point, come all the way down to right about there, and then we'll find the center point on the right and do the same thing. Now the most important step in this process is to get the right proportions. So let's place the nose along the bottom of our circle. So right up here, I'm just going to sketch this out. We're just going to go around that center point, all the way around that circle, around the nose. And then up along the side, we're going to add another circle, slightly smaller for the eyes, going around that center point. And we can always come back and readjust the size if we need to. Now let's start adding some shape to the face. We're going to start with the top edge of the muzzle. Let's connect these 2 points with a curve. We're going to go up in the middle, almost like a half oval, to right about here, come out, and then down towards the right side. Now from the inside of each eye, we're just going to draw a short angle line coming down and then in towards the tear duct. From the bottom of the nose, let's step down to right about here. Just going to draw a straight line going across the bottom of the muzzle. And then halfway down this center line, angle the muzzle coming down and out across the mouth. Let's go to the outside of the eye, angle this down and then out. Just going to bend this down and then in. Now I just want to blend in the circle with the side of the muzzle, coming in and then down. Now along the top of our circle, we're just going to cut this off right about here. Just going to flatten off the top of the head with a straight line. Now the ears are going to flop down the side of the head. So let's start back on the left. We're just going to overlap the circle, going around and then down. Just taking out the edge. Let's go back up to the top. Just going to slope the ear, coming down and then out with a straight angle line. Round out the ear and then bend that in. Now we want to curl the bottom of the ear along this line, bend this down and then out towards that nose line. Let's go back to the bottom of the head along the jaw, draw a straight line coming down. Bend this down and then in, just underneath the mouth. Let's add a fold across the neck. We're going to step down, and this out, and then down towards the side. Now that we have a rough sketch in place, let's go back and erase some of these guidelines. Now at this stage, I always like to take a step back and review our overall proportions. Now if everything looks good, we're going to use this rough sketch as a guide to help us layer on some more detail and refine the shapes. Let's start with the eyes. We start by adding a light fur texture going around, just brushing this around the eye. I'm just going to darken up our lines going around the eye, also adding a little bit more shape and definition. Let's curl some of that fur along the inside and then down along the inside of the tear duct. Also going to add a fold on the ends. Now in the center of the eye, I'm just going to lightly add a small circle for the pupils. And then on the top right, we're going to lightly add in a square for highlight. almost like it's reflecting a window. And then just working our way down. Let's add a little bit of fur texture along the center, going up the middle, up towards the top of the head. And we'll add some shape and definition to the nose. Start by bringing this down in the center. Just going to curl the nostrils going up and then around. So a little bit of fur coming down from the nose, down the center, towards the mouth. And now we're just going to add a light fur texture along the outside edge. Just going to bring this out towards the side, round up the corners of the mouth. Just going to add a little bit of fur along the outside of the jaw. I'm just going to add some shape to the top of the head. Again, just adding a little bit of fur texture along the middle. I'm just going to blend this into the ears. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of a fold along the inside of the ear. And that fold across the top, coming down. Now let's do another cleanup before we get into the details and contrast. Now once we're happy with a rough sketch, I'm going to switch to my 0.9mm pencil and start adding some contrast and details. So we're going to start back at the eyes. Just going to define that fur going around. So adding a little bit of darkness and shading. Add a little fold on the bottom of the eye. Now let's darken up the center of the pupil and then just fade that out along the side, just going underneath that highlight. Darken up the top of the iris and then fade that down towards a glare. And I want to do the same thing over on the right, starting along the top, just defining that fur. Now with the nose, we just want to add some texture of fur going up on the side. Darken up the inside edge of the nostrils and the bottom. Now let's move to the side edge of our 2mm pencil and start adding some shadows. Just gonna add a darker tone to the nose. Just blend this down towards the mouth. Just gonna add some subtle shade to the bottom edge of the head. Now I'm going to go back and just lightly layer on some more texture on top of our shadows. So brushing this across the side of the head, just working with the flow of the fur. Now, as we get closer to the end, I'm just going to tighten up my shadows and add a little bit more detail, and always be sure to sign my artwork, and that's pretty much it. There's a sketch illustration of a yellow lab. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. If you did, please make sure you subscribe because I'm posting new lessons every single day. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.